Welcome to all the participants of International Seminar, The Future of Palestine, The Future of Humanity. We would like to invite all of you to fill the first row before we start our agenda today. Once again, for all the participants who have attended to this room, we would like to invite you to move forward, and we are very excited to welcome you to this seminar. So yes, please, to all of you to make a movement to the first row first, yeah, and then we can move to the second row and the third row and so on. Okay? Silahkan bisa maju ke depan untuk mengisi kursi yang kosong terlebih dahulu. the lecturers, and dear brothers and sisters. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the international seminar, The Future of Palestine, The Future of Humanity, held by Directorate Pendidikan dan Pembinaan Agama Islam, Universitas Islam Indonesia. Your Excellency, Ms. Fatma Alghusain, from the Executive Director of Amna Caravan and also the activists of Palestine, Honorable Mr. Hadza bin Fadhli Robby, S.IP, M.Sc, Lecturer of International Relations Study Programs, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Honorable Ms. Rizki Dian Nursita, S.IP, M.H.I, the Lecturer of International Relations Study Program, Universitas Islam Indonesia, and Honorable the Director of Directorate Pendidikan dan Pembinaan Agama Islam, Mr. Dr. Nanang Nurianta, MPD, Honorable all the guests and also all students from Universitas Islam Indonesia. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. First of all, let's praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty, the most merciful all over the universe, who has created the world belongs to all mankind, leader of God-fearing, and because of his blessings and mercies, we are able to attend this agenda without any troubles and obstacles. Secondly, my salawat and salam be upon to our prophet, our greatest prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Peace be upon him, the messenger of God, the most excellent worshipper, leader of God-fearing and supreme among prophets. He is the word inspiration and all human-based example who has guided us to the right path of way, namely Islam. Honorable speakers, dear brothers and sisters, would like to welcome Ahlan wa Sahlan to the international seminar, The Future of Palestine, The Future of Humanity. We invite the speaker, Fatma Alghusain, directly from the Palestine as the speaker today, and also the speaker from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Mr. Hadza bin Fadhli Robby, S.IP, M.Sc. And first of all, we would like to announce the schedule of this agenda today. The first is opening, and the second one, the reciting of Holy Quran. The third one is Sing Indonesia Raya and Hymn of Universitas Islam Indonesia. And then the greetings or opening remarks from the Director of Directorate Pendidikan dan Pembinaan Agama Islam. And the main agenda, it is the international seminar by the topic, Humanitarian Crisis in Palestine, Finding a Common Solutions, and then the role and responsibility of intellectuals in supporting Palestinian independence by the Moderator, Rizki, Dian, Nursita, S.IP, M.H.I. The first agenda is opening. Let's open our agenda this morning by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The second one is the reciting of Holy Quran by Mr. Amiruddin. The time is yours. Okay, the second one is the reciting of Holy Quran by Mr. Muhammad Subki. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوف بعهدكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوف بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون وآمنوا بما أنزلت مصدقا لما معكم ولا تكونوا أول كافر به ولا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا وإياي فاتقون ولا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا وإياي فاتقون صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We would like to express thank you for Mr. Muhammad Subuki from the Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universitas Islam Indonesia, for the reciting of Al-Baqarah, verse 40 until 41. This verse is the verse that remind all the children of Torah or the children of the Jews to obey what Allah give us in the Quran. May Allah give us blessings and mercies through this reciting. The second agenda, the next agenda is singing Indonesia Raya and HIM Universitas Islam Indonesia. We invite all of the students, all of the participants to stand up together.
Islam Indonesia, padamu kami berjanji, majukan studi, giatkan bakti untuk pembangunan pertiwi, syariat Islam amalan kita, tegakkan iman dan tauhid, dengan cakap pedoman nyata, semoga Allah meridhai bumi ini.
Honorable speakers, dear brothers and sisters, next agenda is the greeting for the Director of Directorate Pendidikan dan Pembinaan Agama Islam Universitas Islam Indonesia for Dr. Andes Nanang Nurianta MPD. The stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahilladzi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadana Allah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah, wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh wa la nabiyya ba'dah. Allahumma shalli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, this morning we are gathering in the room of seminar. Alhamdulillah, we have opportunity to discuss about the crisis in Palestine. So, thank you very much for Mrs. Fatma A.S. Alghusain as Executive Director in Amna care fund, activists from Palestine. And the second, thanks to Mr. Hadza min Fadhli Robby, lecturer at International Relations Study Program Universitas Islam Indonesia. And then the third, Mrs.
problem, and then we hope Palestine can independent country, and all of the crisis can be solved. Uh, so I hope all of participants can contribution to giving idea to solve the problem in this seminar. And then by the organizer, if there are mistake in the organize this seminar, I won't forgive to all of us. So I hope the seminar be successful until finish. And then let's us to opening the seminar by basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Nasrum minallah wa fathun qarib. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please, all of you give a round of applause to the Director of Directorate Pendidikan dan Pembinaan Agama Islam. Thank you for Dr. Andes Nanang Nurianta, MPD, for the opening remarks. And then we would like to move to the main agenda and main session. It is the international seminar, The Future of Palestine, The Future of Humanity. It will be spoken by the speakers. It is Ms. Fatma Alghusain and also Mr. Hadza min Fadhli, Robby, S.IP, M.Sc. And also will be hosted by Ms. Rizki, Dian, Nursita, S.IP, M.H.I. The topic, it will be lighten us, and also it will be will open the eyes of the academic community regarding what is actually happening in Palestine region like now. And maybe we will see the opinion, also the statement of the international relations field study. What can we do the research about what happenings now? And also Ms. Fatma will also explain about the condition, the real condition. Maybe all of us is not, we haven't know what is really happening in Palestine nowadays. And there are these videos, and also there are the PPT about the factual condition in Palestine. We will see after this. So we will invite all of the speakers today, and also will invite the moderator for Ms. Rizki, Dian, Nursita, S.IP, M.H.I. The stage is yours.
Cek. Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, assalatu wassalam ala rasulillahil mustafa wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wafa. Rabbi shrah lana sudurana wa yassir lana umurana wahlul 'uqdatam min alsinatina yafqahu aqwalana. Rabbana zidna ilma warzuqna fahma. Alhamdulillah, in this occasion, we are going to have a discussion on the future of Palestine and the future of humanity that is organized by DPPAI, Directorate Pendidikan and Pembinaan Agama Islam, Universitas Islam Indonesia. And speaking of Palestine, or speaking of the current condition in Gaza, I think there are a lot of things that we need to discuss, not to mention what happened recently. We see from the news or from the social media about, how United Nations support the ceasefire in Gaza. And also not to mention the current condition of people, especially people that live in the northern part of Gaza, that are suffering from malnutrition, starvation, and it's really hard for them to find the basic needs. And yeah, I thought it's very sad for us to know about these conditions. And of course, it happened not only because of what happened in October 2023, but also it is something that become the effect of the prolonged Israel occupation since 1948. And to have a deep discussion, I'd like to invite both speakers. The first speaker is Ms. Fatma Alghusain from Amna Care Fund, and also Mr. Hadza bin Fadhli Robby from the Department of International Relations, Universitas Islam Indonesia. For both speakers, please come to the stage. Okay, thank you, Ms. Fatma and also Mr. Hadza. And the seminar, inshallah, will be divided into two sessions. The first session will be delivered by Ms. Fatma Alghusain. And I think before we move to the discussion, I want to read the short CV of Ms. Fatma Alghusain. Ms. Fatma Alghusain, she is the Executive Director of Amna Care Fund. And of course, she has a lot of experience in managing the fund and also implementing humanitarian and professional development and economic empowerment projects in Palestine and Indonesia, and also people worldwide. And inshallah, in this occasion, Ms. Fatma will talk about humanitarian crisis in Palestine, finding the common solution. And the next session will be delivered by Mr. Hadza bin Fadhli Robby. He is a lecturer of Department of International Relations, Universitas Islam Indonesia, and currently serving as the head of the Laboratory of Global Transformation. And also he is the director of Embun Kalimasada. It's a cultural center in Universitas Islam Indonesia. Okay, without any further ado, let's invite Ms. Fatma Alghusain to speak about humanitarian crisis or current condition of people in Palestine, especially in Gaza, for about 40 minutes. Okay, Ms. Fatma, the floor is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله واللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحابه أجمعين. First of all, I want to thank for the university to organize this seminar, as before they arranged for me many lectures in this university. I am so happy to be here again to talk about all the participants. Thank you for your coming to talk about the current situation in Gaza now. First, I left Gaza 2 weeks before the war, and now I came from Canada. And the whole my families, my house, my office, everything still behind in Gaza. As you know, our story in Palestine doesn't start at 7th of October. It started before. It started at 1948 when the Israelis came and they stole our lands and they get out our parents and our grandmothers and fathers. And the people, they are separate the Palestinian people in many countries around Palestine. And as I am one of the refugees in Gaza, actually I am one of the refugees in Gaza because Gaza, it's not my land. I came from Be'er Saba. My land, my house, it's in Be'er Saba, and we lose these lands and houses at 1948. So the story and the crisis in Palestine and the fighting started since 76, more than 76 years now. And the Israelis, they doesn't stop to attack Gaza, to kill people, to destroy houses, to arrest people and put our men and children at the prison. And you know that the prison also, they put women as well in the prison. There's more than 300 women in the prison, in the Israeli prison now. So our story, it's not related to religion, because most of the time I heard from people, especially here in Indonesia, there is if the conflict and the crisis in Palestine is related to religion. Actually, it's not. Because we are, as Muslims and non-Muslims, Christian, we are live together. And we face all together what happening and the result of the attack from Israeli army. And this genocide, actually, we lose a lot of families from Christian people in Gaza. This Gaza, since the day one of 7 October, it's in a big siege. There is no electricity, there is no water, no food, no fuel, no medicine, even no houses, no enough shelters for people. There is no milk for the children. Even the United Nations, they are closed their offices, especially in the north of Gaza, since the day one of this genocide. Even their stores full with flowers and food, but they didn't give the people anything. So this time, the United Nations is participant of people hunger in Gaza now. And the children, the people especially, as my colleagues mentioned, they are started to die from starvation. 27 persons until now, they die just from starvation and malnutrition in north of Gaza. The Israelis, they attacked since one day all the hospitals in Gaza. Most of the hospitals now, they are out of the service. There is no medical teams because they surround the hospitals, they enter the hospitals, and they arrest the medical team, and they took them to prison. And they cut the fuel, so there is no electricity in the hospital. You can't imagine that they did operation for the patient, and they cut their legs and amputation their limbs just of the light of mobile. I want to just explain where people now they are living, what the living situation in Gaza now. Can you just? I want to show you, this is Gaza map. As you see, here, the south of Gaza, maybe you heard in the social media and the news, the south Rafah and Khan Yunis. This is very small area, and this is on the border of Egypt. It's near the Rafah border. And there, the north of Gaza, Gaza and Jabalia and Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia, the north of Gaza. So since day one of this genocide, they ask the people to leave their houses and move to the south of Gaza. So the people, there is 1 million people, they are moved to this small area. And now, sorry, now there is 1.2 million of Palestinians. They live in this area under the tents. There is no houses. Under the tents, in a very hard condition. It's winter, it's raining, it's cold. People, they left their houses without taking anything from their clothes, from their stuff at the summertime. And people, they didn't expect that it will be now around 6 months. It will be 6 months. So the winter came and people without anything, without any clothes, without anything. It's cold in Gaza, actually, very cold. And the people who stay, some of people, they go from Gaza to the north of Gaza, and some people, they are from the north, but they didn't agree to leave their houses. And now, the north of Gaza, there is around 700,000 people. They are at the north of Gaza without anything, because the Israeli army, they punish them because they didn't leave their houses, and they prevent all the humanitarian aids like food, medicine, water to enter this area. Some of them, they live in shelters, and some of them, they live in the schools. You will find, like this room, you will find more than 60 to 70 persons live in one room. And you can imagine a very big number without food, without medicine, without anything. So many diseases now, more than 8,100 of people, they are with a lot of kind of diseases. And the hospital, they can't provide any medical service for people what they need, because they are busy to receive the big numbers of injured and killed people daily. If we talk about the numbers, and actually I didn't like to take about the numbers, because people in Palestine, they are not numbers. They are stories and dreams and memories. Until now, more than 72,000 people were injured. And most of the injured people, they were from women and children. More than 72% of the injured people in Gaza were from women and children. Why this happened? This happened because they attacked, they bombed the whole houses. And the houses, because it's war and people, they left their houses, you will find the whole family live in the same house. The father, the mother, the children, the grandmother, the grandfather, the uncles. Also, for this reason, when they attack the houses, they kill the whole family. You will find many families in Gaza, there is no one survive from them. There is around 10,000 people, cancer patients, facing the risk of death in Gaza. Because before the war, the cancer patient, they took the chemical treatment, not from Gaza, it's from Egypt, and some of them, they go to the West Bank, the hospitals in this bank. There's no chemical for them in Gaza. Now, no one can go outside of Gaza. No one can go to Egypt because the border, it's closed. And no one can even reach any hospital for West Bank because there is Israeli checkpoint between Gaza and West Bank. So no one allowed. Many of these patients, cancer patients, they are died, and the rest of the number, actually they facing the risk of death also. There is more than now 17,000 child. They live in Gaza, they became without anyone from their parents. They lose even the mother or the father or both. And maybe you see at the social media, there is children, they lose the whole father, the father and the whole parents, father and mother. And I just want to mention that now there's 10,000 of people, even more, they are dead under the rapid. Because there's no time and no one allowed, the Israeli doesn't allow to take the bodies of people. And do you know what the worst thing now in Gaza? The last news. The USA start to build a port on the sea. And we are, as a Palestinian, we don't know what the reason for this port. Because if they say that we will use this port for humanitarian assistance, aids to Gaza, so there's lie. Why? Because they can open Rafah border. And they have the authority to open Rafah border, because also the USA, they have the authority on Egypt government. So there's hundreds of trucks from humanitarian aid. It's stand at the border. So instead to buy and to build this port, and it costs time and money, they can just in 1 minute open the Rafah border and let the humanitarian aids enter. And the worst thing, that they use the rapid of houses, and it's mixed with the bodies of people to build this port. They came to the houses and take the rapid, and as I mentioned that there's people until there's 10,000 people, they are died under the rapid. They talk with their machine, the rapid of the houses, with a part of the bodies of Palestinian people, with their blood, and they go to build this port. This is the last thing happened in Gaza. And they use the airdrop, as you see, to send the airdrop, the aids from the plane, and it killed around 5 people because the boxes came over their heads. And part of these aids, they fall in the sea. And people, when they go to wait for this aid, to take flowers for and food for their children, the Israelis, they attack them and shoot at them, and they kill around just 400 people when they are waiting to take food for their children. And this happened until yesterday. It doesn't stop. It's okay. And I want just to speak more about the injured people now in Gaza. as I mentioned, there's more than 70,000 people were injured in Gaza. And actually in the hospitals, they discharge the people, the patient, before their recovery. So they return to their tents, and as you know, the tents is not clean, it's so cloud, and there's no hygiene stuff for the people to use. So it's so dirty. What the result of this? Their wound became very infection. And they haven't medical service, they didn't receive medical service because they can't reach the hospital. And if they can reach the hospitals, they didn't receive anything because the hospital is full to receive the emergency cases from daily injured people and daily death people. And if you just look at the hospital, you'll find the injured people on the floors and at the corridors, everywhere. And the result of this infection, the first, they became amputation. Now more than 1,000 people, most of them of the children, they were amputated. They lose one of their limbs, even hands or legs, in a very bad condition. And the other, they are died. Many people of Gaza now, they are died because the infection, it's reached their blood. So the result, they die because they didn't receive antibiotic. They didn't receive any medical service, nursing, hygiene stuff, medical stuff. So now, every day, there's from 10 to 12 amputation cases in Gaza. You can't imagine. I talked with my friend 3 days ago, and he said, okay, we finished our speech, and he said, okay, I have to go somewhere. And I asked, where? Okay, I go to the hospital to cut my father's leg. Did you think it's easy to talk like I have to go to cut my son's hand because it's became so infection and I'm afraid that he will die. So there's no hospitals, no medicine. So it's better to cut her leg or cut his arm. It's better than to die. So this is the daily situation in Gaza in the hospitals. I want to talk about the pregnant woman. Do you know now what the worst thing happened for the women in Gaza? First thing, the women get period. Because if she get period, she will not find badge. She will not find hygiene stuff. And most of the women, they use the clothes instead of badge when they are get period. And you can imagine the health situation and for them when they are look for badge and hygiene and they didn't find. And the most people who are suffering now, actually they are the women. And the second thing, when the woman come to get birth, she need privacy. She need space to rest. She need space to sleep. And actually they didn't find because the tent, it's full with people. There is no space. Some people, they put their heads under the tents and their legs outside at the street because there is no space. So how the woman can give birth in this situation? And because all the people of Gaza, when they left their houses, they didn't talk anything with them. So she haven't clothes for her newborn. They haven't clothes for the baby. They haven't even stuff for the woman. You know, all the women around the world, when she want to get she spent 1 month to prepare clothes for the mother and clothes for the baby and a place and bed for their babies. But now, under the tents, in this cold, there is no bed for the babies. And we talk about 50,000 pregnant women. There is around 200 newborn babies in Gaza daily. Women need food to eat after they get birth. They didn't find. Do you know, the women in Gaza now, especially the mothers, they spend 2 days without eating anything because they want to save the food for their children. The result of this, that most of this women, they face a big problems of anemia and malnutrition the same, because they were not able even to get birth. And because most of these women, they get birth under the tents, because there is no hospital to go to get birth there, in a very hard situation. Actually, the injured people, they need very urgent intervention, to send teams, medical teams, to their tents, to take care about their wounds, to teach one of their family how to clean the wound and give them the materials, because even there is no water to clean the wounds. So we have to send them teams to give them medical kits, teach them to use these materials to keep these wounds, because actually we want really to stop the amputation cases in Gaza. How these children will face the future after this crazy genocide stop, if it's a stop. Because people now in Gaza, they haven't any clear vision about the future. We don't know first when it's a stop. And now Gaza returned more than 100 years behind. And to build Gaza again, we need at least 10 years to rebuild the hospitals, the school, the infrastructure of Gaza, because even they destroy the street. So the future, it's dark. And when we want to talk about the solutions, no one in Gaza have any clear solutions, because now people, they think about need to keep their life and to keep themselves alive. For this reason, actually, we start Amna Care Foundation, and the Amna account we established this organization in Indonesia here. We work with many organizations in Gaza, rehabilitation organization, to raise funds for projects for home care for injured and people with disabilities. Because all the people with disabilities, especially the new disabilities now, they are from children and they need a lot of work. They need assistive devices, they need wheelchairs, they need crutches, they need physiotherapists, because at least people need the amputation cases, they need at least 6 months from physiotherapists to be ready for archivals later. This is my team in Gaza. They are well trained, and now they work and provide some volunteer work in Gaza, especially for with injured people. And actually, if we come to the recommendation and what people need now in Gaza, first, people need to ceasefire, to stop this genocide. Because if this stop, at least people can breathe. Then open the border, especially Rafah border, because there is a lot of humanitarian aids at the border. So first, it's supposed to be ceasefire, then open Rafah border to let for aids to enter Gaza, and allow for people who are came, million people who are came from the north of Gaza to return to their houses. It will be better for them to put the tent of their houses rapid. Then people look for the countries, the Islamic countries, and the country, our neighbor from Arab and Muslim, to open their hospitals for the injured people. Because Egypt, they allowed for just 40 injured people to go outside of Gaza. But at the same time, they allowed for more than 400 people who are pay money for them to evacuate from Gaza. And 40 injured people. And you can imagine and compare 40 with 70,000 injured people in Gaza. It's nothing. So we hope that the hospitals around us open for injured people and talk numbers of the cases, the difficult cases, to get treatment and outside of Gaza. As well as we hope from all our friends to share our stories, because the Israeli story, it's spread in all the world. They can go outside. It's easy for them to travel and did interview and meet people and tell what they tell about their stories. But people in Gaza, no one can go out of Gaza. Even the social media, what you see in the social media, it's nothing compare what's happening really in Gaza. Because since the day one of Gaza and this war in Gaza, they are killed more than 200 journalists. Even the social media activists in Gaza, when they are write and share stories, they kill some of them and kill the whole families. They are attack their houses with the families. And some of them, they ask them to leave Gaza, like Mu'taz Azaiza, if you know Mu'taz Azaiza. So it's a very lack of coverage, of media coverage in Gaza. For example, the north of Gaza, there is no coverage, no media coverage, just one for Jazeera who send photos. But one, he can't cover everything The last thing that I want to mention is the last news in Gaza. The last news, the Israeli army, they come back to surround Shifa hospital. They destroy buildings inside the hospitals. And actually the hospitals full of people. There is around 30,000 people. They are in the hospital. Plus the patient, plus the medical teams. They enter the hospitals. Until now, they surround the hospitals. No one can reach the Shifa hospitals and the building around the hospitals. They are separate the women and men, and I am sure that there is no one take videos or photos or report for what happening. They separate the women and the men, and they talk the children with the men, the children, the boys, I mean, and leave the women and the girls together. And they start to shoot in front of their husband, in front of their wife, their mothers. They kill more than 60 men and child in front of their eyes. Then they ask the patient, the injured patient, to go outside of the hospital. And they are injured and they're bleeding. And now there are hundreds of bodies of people on the street since 3 days around the hospital. And for the homes, houses around the hospital, the buildings, they are burn this building and attacked people, and people go and start to go. When they see anyone, they shoot them and leave them at the street. People spend hours and hours bleeding until they die, and no one can reach them. This is the last news. Now, the people, they call the Red Cross in Gaza, but they didn't answer their phone. This time, the international organization, the United Nations, they doesn't work in Gaza. People call them to come to evacuate them or to take injured people from their houses, and they didn't respond. I have been in 4 wars in Gaza, but this genocide, even I didn't read about this in the history. Every day, there is people killed. At least 200 people killed every day until now in Gaza. And people think that because of Ramadan, maybe they will stop, but they doesn't stop. Even after the decision, which took the day before, to stop and ceasefire in Gaza, the Israelis continue to kill people and attack Gaza. I just now want to show you a small video, very small, about what's happening in Gaza. And I know that most of you maybe see these photos and videos. And then I will ask about any question and any information. Shukran jazilan. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, everyone, while we are waiting for the video to be shown, I think as the moderator, I need to sum up the points that have been mentioned by Ms. Fatma Alghusain. Speaking of the current condition in Palestine, there have been a lot of misunderstandings among the people. especially about the cause of the conflict in Palestine. It is not a religious conflict, but rather a humanitarian crisis. And many people in Gaza now are starving. The hospitals are out of service, no food, no fuel. And people, especially in northern part of Gaza, they become internally displaced person. They are forced to move to southern part of Gaza. And the current condition is getting worse due to the winter. 100,000 people are affected by the crisis. Not to mention 200 people killed every day and more than 70,000 people were injured due to the military attack. 17,000 children become yatim, and hundreds of trucks bringing humanitarian aids also couldn't enter Gaza through Rafah border. And speaking of women conditions in Gaza, they cannot get adequate access to hygiene such as menstrual pad and also proper clothes and dress. And many people have also, been amputated. And speaking of ceasefire that is demanded by UN Security Council, it is agreed by 14 member states, except one, which is US, of course. And let's pray that this ceasefire will happen in this Ramadan, and it will be a forever or eternal ceasefire. And we won't see anymore that people in Gaza will be affected by the war. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Okay. And would like also announce to the participants, if you have any question, you can ask in Q&A session after the second speech. It's okay if you want to ask in English or in Bahasa Indonesia. We'll help you to translate the question.
We are putting a complete siege on Gaza. More than 2.
كفايه فيش اكل زي الناس ما فيش حياه ما فيش يعني الله يعزك طلع هيا فجاه جيت انت ايش لقيت بها السلام حافي ولا شبه هذه مش حياه طفل زي هذا المفروض هذا يكون عايش حياه مرفهه بيلعب روح بيجي من حقه يعيش من حقه يعيش
نعلم عليها مش معايا اوائل البيت ولا دولار ولا كذا ولو كنت انا اصلا ما كان من كتر العالم امراض وباع حيصير اطفال مش تطعيمات مش شيء.
اتمنى انه نصير هدنه ونرجع حضورنا وننام.
Thank you, Ms. Fatma, for sharing us this very touching documentary video. And ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next session. And next session will be delivered by Mr. Hadza Fadhli Robby. And Mr. Hadza, inshallah, will share his thought about the role and responsibility of the collectibles in supporting Palestinian independence. Mr. Hadza, you have around 20 minutes to share your insights about this topic. The floor is yours.
Thank you, قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استغفروا الله وسلكوا سبيل الرحمن صلى الله عليه وسلم. Students and fellow professors, I'd like to begin my discussion by saying that it's already our duty and responsibility to help in our capacity all of Palestinians to always advocate for this Palestinian cause until God knows when, because it seems that is I don't want to say this as a conflict, but I will explain the reason why we can call academically we can call this conflict as a conflict, and why we have responsibility as academicians here in this university and also in academic world in general, to always try to advocate with all of our capacity and our academic capability based on our based on our discipline, to always try to produce research that is truly reflecting our support to Palestine. As I've also mentioned in the Quranic verse that I mentioned before, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in tansurullaha yansurukum wa yusabbit aqdamakum. It's on the Surah Muhammad verse 7. Those who believe the deen of Allah, have the religion of Allah, so that you may be helped. Yeah. So if we are doing this advocacy for Palestine, not because we want to find more fame or because we want to be cited, but because we are truly helping the cause of Palestinian under a good niyyah, under good intention, that is to help the religion of Allah, then surely Allah will help us in achieving our careers and achieving everything that we want to achieve in this world, inshallah. So let me just continue with what I'm going to say today. So basically, my presentation will be divided into three main parts. First is about the changing perception on the issue of Palestine. So I would like to know first, are there anyone here coming from a discipline outside of social sciences, probably from medicine or from engineering? Are there anyone coming from engineering or from medicine perhaps, or because it's very important for me to mention that the issue of Palestine is always discussed mainly in the field of social sciences. It's not so much discussed in engineering as much as in the medicine issues. But here I would like to remind you about something. Whenever we are discussing about Palestine issue from a perspective of conflict, we cannot say that it is conflict per se. We cannot exactly use terminology of conflict, because what is happening is that the nature of the conflict is not couldn't be easily explained with this terminology of conflict, because conflict denotes an equal form of engagement, a tension between two different actors who have relatively similar power, and they are trying to exert influences and and doing military campaigns in order to pressure each other. So in those conditions, we can consider that the nature of tensions that happen between two countries or two actors are as a conflict. Yeah. But in this case, as we can see in in many research, that conflict was mainly used by a lot of scholars until these days to explain conveniently about the natural problem that is existing between Israel and Palestine. And as you can see in this papers that is mentioned in the Google Scholar, there's still a tendency to use the word of conflict to explain what happened between Israel and Palestine. And we can see that most of those people who are using, the terminology of conflict is Israeli scholars. But I don't want to say that all Israeli scholars are using this kind of terminology, because there are some part of Israeli academicians who are trying to oppose the current regime, the current discourses that is currently developing in Israel and Palestine. So, they are trying to use different wording, different terminology to explain the nature of tensions between Israel and Palestine, because they exactly understand that this is way more beyond than just a conflict. It is something more than just a conflict, because what happened is continuous persecutions, continuous blockade, as explained by Ms. Fatma eloquently in her presentation, because she's actually a victim of, dispossession. She's a native of Beersheba, I think it's in West Bank, in Palestinian territory. Oh, in Be'er Saba. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so Beersheba is currently a city located in Israel. So I will need to put the mark there. Miss Fatma is a victim of dispossession 2 times. So she's now, she was previously a native of Beersheba, and she moved to North Gaza, and she's now displaced and becoming a Palestinian diaspora in Canada. So this is something that we have to remember whenever we are discussing about Palestine. Yeah, it is very important to see that the usage of the conflict as a terminology to explain this tension would not be adequate. Yeah, would not be a fair use of terminology, because the nature of the conflict is much more asymmetrical. Yeah, so much so that we cannot use the terminology of conflict easily in this aspect. Okay, let me continue. I will be brief, because I would like to allow you to have more discussion with Ms. Fatma especially. So there is a changing perception, particularly in Western academia, where we are starting to see a lot of research dedicated to discuss the complexity of the tensions and engagement between Israel and Palestinians. And surprisingly, this is why this is very important. When we are trying to look beyond the issue of the engagement between Israel and Palestine, outside of the political contestations, outside of the territorial disputes, if we are trying to discuss this issue from everyday aspects of the politics, for example, about the agricultural issue, about the geographical, geographical control, about spatial control. Are there anyone coming from architecture here? No? If there's anyone coming from architecture, actually there's a very good alliance in, Global Academy that is called as Architecture for Palestine. they have been doing a lot of series of lectures dedicated to just show the extent of Israeli settlement, how Israeli urban planners is actually helping the settlers to occupy new lands in West Bank. And they are explaining it eloquently in their presentation. So I would like to suggest you to watch that series of lecture because it really explains how urban planners are trying to manipulate the conception of good governance and good sanitation, good urban planning to allow for the construction of new settlements in West Bank. So they are trying to disciplinize the Palestinian society to not be able to access some areas in the West Bank because they are considered as having poor quality of hygiene, they are not having poor sanitation. So this is a discriminatory policy, yeah, being that is allowed by academic practices, yeah. And many of the architects, even those who are coming from Israel, like Yiftachel. So Professor Yiftachel, he is working, as far as I know, he's working in the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So he is one of the critical voices of the settlement and occupation strategy by the Israel government. And he's still working in Israel right now. But he is writing something very important, deepening apartheid. And he's trying to see this problem from the issue of urban planning and geographical perspective. So this is something that I would like to encourage all students and all lecturers in this university and also colleagues from different universities as well. Try to see the problem outside of the political terminology, outside of the political space. We need to see that what happens every day, the dispossession. I mean, like the inability for Palestinian mothers and children to access adequate healthcare. It also is also a problem. Yeah. So if you are coming from medicine, if you are coming from engineering background, don't worry, you still have a lot of opportunity to explore. For example, one of the disciplines that is mostly needed to analyze the extent of destruction in Gaza is discipline of geographical information system. Do you know that? So for example, if you are looking into, if you want to see the impact, the true impact of the destruction made by Israeli cluster bombs and also by all the missiles, we will need someone who is highly expert on GIS and compare the data between different years of invasions and to see how large is the effect of the crimes, and something that you have to realize before we want to prove that Israel is actually conducting a war crime. Israel is always asking people, where is the proof? Where's the evidence? There's no evidence to whatever you're saying, because whenever the Israeli attorney is standing, in front of the ICJ, they were saying that all of the accusations are baseless, and what we are doing here is just to defend our case, defend our country. But whenever we are trying to see all of this data coming from GIS that shows all of the mapping, all of the extent of the destruction, then we can clearly see that what is happening is large-scale destruction, not just limited to Hamas headquarters, yeah, but the destruction could be seen in all over Gaza. So we need to see that colonialism really helps us to see the problem is actually intersectional in nature. So it is not just a political problem, it is not just a religious issue, it is also a problem of public health, it is also a problem of gender equality, it is also a problem of what? Of ecological destruction. Yeah, of architectural and also archaeological disrespect. Yeah? Because there are a lot of archaeological sites who are being destroyed. Yeah, including one of the oldest church in the Christian history, the Saint Porphyrius Church, located in Gaza City. Yeah, and also Holy Family Church. It is almost destroyed, but Alhamdulillah they are not destroyed, and a lot of effort has been made by international community to protect the micro-minority Christian churches in Gaza Strip. Okay, next. So we need to see two cases of academic solidarity, and this is my second point, academic solidarity or academic betrayal. So a lot of academicians in Western countries, and especially in Israel, has come out to oppose to a strongly strongly declare their opposition against the brutality of current Israeli state, and some of them have become anti-Israeli in sense that they really want to reject the existence of the state of Israel, to the point that they wanted a whole new solution that is moving beyond what we call as a two-state solution. Yeah, and we can see many more academicians in Israel. They are starting to come out. One of the reasons, one is from Byzantine historian working in Tel Aviv University. He is making a very long thread in X platform that shows the genocidal intent. He wrote it in Hebrew and English language. So, but aside all of these dynamics that is happening in Israeli academia, a lot of people are still trying to capture the problem of Israel and Palestine in a more pessimistic way, that is often frame Palestinian cause as something that is should not be seen in post-colonialist perspective. Yeah, some of the examples are article by Montefiore and also by Slavoj Žižek. Yeah. Those of you coming from outside of social science may not know him, but Slavoj Žižek is one of the famous Marxists, and he's very well known for his socialist ideology. But the thing is that whenever he's speaking about Hamas and whenever he's speaking about Palestinian struggle, he sees those movements as something that should not be regarded as progressive movement. So it's funny. So in another conflict, he might say that, oh, the struggle by Ukrainians should be supported because they are advocating progressivism, they are advocating for human rights. While he was speaking about Gaza, when he is speaking about Palestine, what he always tell media, his students, his audiences, he always tell that Hamas and also related Palestinian movements could not be considered as leftists, even those who are legitimately leftist, like Popular Front for Liberation of the Palestine, or PFLP. So he doesn't regard this movement as leftist because he thinks that this movement doesn't carry any agenda for liberation towards all people. He thinks that Palestinian movement are inherently bigot and racist toward Israeli. So this kind of betrayal could be seen even amongst the scholars who are claiming themselves as progressive, such as Slavoj Žižek. Yeah, I'd like to recommend you to read an article about what the left gets wrong about Gaza and decolonization. Yeah, so be really careful whenever you are reading leftist materials as well, because not all leftists and socialists are pro-Palestinian rights. It's very ironic because the core argument of their ideology is to support liberations. Yeah, but their solidarity is very selective. Whenever it's related to helping Muslims or Palestinians, their solidarity is mostly selective, unfortunately. And there's also self-censorship. You probably might have heard that there are several professors who are being banned, and students being banned from doing their research if they are supporting Palestine. Their research grant being cut because of the supporters coming from Israeli lobbies and so. And also there are several efforts to frame the Zionist regime, the Israeli struggle to build their own state as part of the post-colonial narrative. I mean, they try to legitimize the struggle of Israeli people as a legitimate one, as a socialist one, as a progressive one, compared to that of Palestinian struggle. So I found this interesting seminar in German entitled The Post-Colonial Studies and Historiography of Zionism. So they are trying to see the history of Zionism, the development of the Zionism as a movement is actually a part of a progressive movement. While in fact it's not. So, well, there are a lot of, division within Zionism. There are labor Zionists, there are conservative Zionists, there's also religious Zionists. They have different kind of ideology, but most of them, if not all of them, are mostly supporting the establishment of ethno-nationalist, ethno-religious state. Yeah, and we are looking the most perfect example of the ethno-religious, ethno-nationalist tendency of a Zionist Israeli state in the current Netanyahu government. A very impeccable example of this racist regime. Yeah, so this is something that we need to remember whenever we are trying to see the dynamics of Zionism. Next. Oh yeah, I have my own. What is it? Let me continue. Okay, so this is also some of the what is it? Recent research on Gaza. I think that if Indonesian scholars truly believe in the independence of Palestine and also solving the problem in Gaza, more research should be dedicated to what is it? To do investigations, academic investigation on Gaza. Yeah, for example, a student from architecture department could help to what is it? To prepare a urban planning or something that would accommodate the need of Gaza, the emergency shelter or emergency settlements in Gaza. How we should design settlements that would be that could be prepared for people of Gaza while they are waiting for the reconstruction of Gaza. And here we are looking at several researchers conducted in 2023, and most of them are not in political terms. Most of them are discussing about water consumption, discussing about technological innovation. Because what? Because most of the people living in Gaza are literate, and many of them are possessing master and PhD degree. Yeah, most of them are very smart. I have friends from Palestine. I was studying in Turkey back then. Most of my friends in Palestine are taking engineering or medicine because those two subjects are very much needed in Gaza, because they need to reconstruct and they need to build their own country. Yeah, despite all of the blockades happening. Okay, so even before the invasion, there was a research conducted by psychologists and discussing about the consequences of war-related traumatic stress. We should not call the experience of the Gazan people as post-traumatic because they are still experiencing the trauma on daily basis. Yeah, even those who are living in diaspora, it is not easy for them because they are continuously consuming the news from their own relatives who are still stuck in Gaza, and they are getting worried day by day because of the impact of this conflict. Yeah. And it's real, yeah. And you can hear it from Miss Fatma, Madam Fatma, when she is explaining about the plight of Gazan people, yeah, during this Europe long occupation. And this is the importance of studying the extent of the occupation. Studying Palestine is a multidisciplinary struggle. Let me tell you, it is not a field that should be dominated only by political science students or only by social science students or only by tafsir students. No, it is a multidisciplinary struggle because it is exactly intersectional in nature whenever you want to discuss the extent of Palestinian occupation. So let me explain you about this map. This map is obtained from a site owned by an Israeli Palestinian NGO, Bet Salem. And they are one of the first NGO to declare that Israeli state is inherently apartheid and racist. That's it. So this is a joint effort by Israeli and Palestinian to do work together to establish common peace. And in order for them to realize a common peace, what they have to realize is they are committing wrongdoings, especially from the Israeli parts. And this is a map that shows the extent of the occupation. You can see a lot of areas marked by yellow. If you are looking at the orange and yellow color, you see that the limitation for the Palestinians is very large. Yeah, their movement is strictly limited to that point. Yeah. There are a lot of violations toward the human rights of Palestinians happening in those places. This is the map that shows the extent of the occupation in West Bank. You can see that many Palestinians could not even move safely from one place to another because they will be asked by the police and they will be asked by the Israeli Defense Force because they will be regarded as potential threat. every Palestinian subject should be regarded as potential threat by the Israeli soldiers. That is the fact, that is the extent of the occupation that we should understand, and we couldn't understand this without the help of geographers, without the help from engineers, without the help of people who are truly understanding GIS, how GIS truly works. That's why this cause of Palestinian independence, this cause for Palestinian liberation, is a cause for all scholars. It's a multidisciplinary struggle. It is intersectional. We cannot just let international relations scholars work all the time, because we cannot work alone. Yeah, we exactly need people coming from different departments to go and to work together with us, to collaborate on how we can solve this issue of occupation together. Yeah, that's why we need to think beyond two-state solution. Two-state solution is already expired, in my opinion. Why? Because it is not workable. Because it's based on a status quo agreement that was switched in 1948 and 1967. And if we are looking into the context of the agreement that is happening in 1948 and 1967, what happened is in 1948, parts of the Palestinian territory were not actually controlled by state of Palestine. It is actually controlled by the state of Egypt and Jordan. Yeah, Gaza was controlled by Egypt, and the territory of West Bank are mostly controlled by Jordan. So in this case, Arab countries are mostly egoistic. Were mostly egoistic. Yeah. In 1967, there's also no notions of Palestinian state still, but well, yeah, at the time, Jordania agreed to take over the role first, yeah. But here's the thing: because of the lack of the institutionalization of a truly independent Palestinian state, and the Palestinians never truly provided a chance to prove themselves to create a state since 1948, we need to say that status quo is an inherently discriminatory policy. That's why whenever we are discussing about modern international law that is currently being discussed openly in ICJ proceedings, yeah, that is mainly based on Hugo Grotius, one of the early experts of international law, one of the founders of international law, and also Westphalian mindset that put strong emphasis on the creation of nation-state system. The modern international law that we are witnessing in the ICJ proceedings is actually disparaging the interests of third-world country most of the time. Why? Because most of the rulings in the ICJ context is not fair to those countries who are trying to struggle for their independence. They have to have their own backing. Yeah. Israeli is now put in a very much difficult momentum, because Russia and China is backing Palestinian cause. Well, yeah, but still, their cause is still working because United States is behind them until the last voting in the United Nations Security Council. My opinion, this is my opinion, there should be another chance to open a discussion on one state binational solution. And this is already becoming a conversation, especially in amongst the Israeli public. There are a lot of peace centers in Israeli public created by politicians like Shimon Peres, by politicians like Yitzhak Rabin, for example. They are creating new international peace center that is aimed to discuss, yeah, the future for the Israeli and Palestinian. And there should be one state solution, I think, one state solution that is fairly trying to encompass the needs and the rights for citizens coming from two parties. Yeah, because why? Because if there is two-state solution, then what happens is that then again Israeli will be supported most of the time, and Palestinian rights will be neglected. And I call this as a Bosnian model. Bosnia is now having three presidents coming from three different ethnicities, one from Bosniak, one from Croats, and one from Serbs. And so far the model is working very well, and there's no conflict anymore happening in that region, at least until today. Yeah, and so I think we should give this Bosnian model a chance to work, to be implemented in Palestine, of course with the agreement from both sides, especially from the Palestinians, because they are mostly disadvantaged, yeah, with Jerusalem, with Al-Quds as an international zone, yeah, governed by international body. So I think that should be a solution for this problem. Why? Because Edward Said, one of the Palestinian scholars in this issue, he said that the Oslo Agreement has been failing ever since, because Oslo Agreement is giving more space for Israeli government to, what is it, to do a lot of violations, giving them a lot of chance to, what is it, manipulate with the agreement, to actually, hijack the peace process, yeah? Let me come to the last point. That's why this is a multidisciplinary struggle. It should be a multidisciplinary action, a collaborative action that combines the effort coming from different departments, coming from different disciplines, yeah? It's not to be an egocentric, effort, a departmental centric effort to do research on Palestine. Yeah, that's why from Department of International Relations we always conduct a lot of discussion about Palestine, exactly because we want to invite more people to join us in this discussion. And understanding critical perspective from Jewish scholars and Israeli perspective would be very important, critical ones. There are a lot of critical scholars coming from Israel as well. Some of them are currently working overseas because they are not allowed to enter Israel anymore. There's probably you have heard names like Ilan Pape or like Avi Shlaim. So those people are always talking the Israeli issue from a very critical perspective that is mostly pro-Palestinian, yeah, and they are calling for, even Ilan Pape is calling for the establishment of Palestine. He is the true supporter of the Palestinian cause, yeah. So we need to really understand also the dynamics within the Jewish society, because they are actually angry to what Netanyahu is doing, because there are a lot of opposition happening in Israel as well. So we need to understand that, because academic perspective need to also understand the two sides of the story, yeah. And the basis for research that would be conducted on this Palestinian cause should based on clear ground. That is to always prioritize the rights of the dispossessed and disadvantaged people, yeah, of the Palestinian. That's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Hadza, for a very insightful speech and also encouragement, especially for us as the academics and the scholars of the Universitas Islam Indonesia. And to sum up the points that have been mentioned by Mr. Hadza, the first thing that it is our duty or our responsibility to help Palestinian, as it is mentioned in Surah Muhammad, right? Verse 7, in tansurullah yansurukum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. And the second thing, that we cannot say that what happened in Gaza is a conflict per se. It is a genocide due to continuous blockade and also asymmetrical relations between the parties. And unfortunately, based on some search or surfing in Google Scholars, we see that there are still some tendencies used by some scholars to mention what happened in Palestine as a conflict. And as the academics, we need to think beyond political solution or beyond two-state solution that is always promoted by Western countries or international organization. And whatever our major, we still have the opportunity to help Palestine according to our expertise, whether we study engineering, architecture, psychology, medicine, and etc. We still have the chance to assist them and also promote solution for them. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Hadza. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's moving on to the next session, which is Q&A session. And I'll invite the participants from lecturers or students. If you have any question, you may raise your hand, and don't forget to mention your name and also your department. Probably for 2 or 3 questions. Any question? Okay, please.
Thank you very much for the very enlightening material. And I would like to ask, firstly, sorry, my name is Ani. I'm from the Department of Environmental Engineering. And I would ask a question to Bu Fatma regarding the humanitarian aid. Is it how it is still possible the aid to goes into Gaza? Maybe I just got mostly the information I got about Gaza is from social media, and I can see that it's very difficult for humanitarian aid, especially those from going from Rafah border to goes into Gaza. So is it still possible for humanitarian aid presently to goes into Gaza? Actually, how is it? Or maybe some let's say institution still has let's say privilege to can go inside and outside regarding this humanitarian aid. And then okay, instead of this, of course, the humanitarian aid is really it's the basic needs, and it's really necessary right now because it is the genocide is still ongoing right now. But as you are also from you are Palestinian and also you are from Gaza, what you expect from the international? I mean, apart from humanitarian aid, of course, what you expect for the international society for the Gazan people right now? Actually, I mean, what are the, let's say, the priority you expect as the Gazan, as the Palestinian, what you expect from the international community right now? And also to Pak Hadza, it's very I have many information from your presentations, and okay, you have discussed about anything related to the academic and everything, but as well, honestly, right now, I am in this state of like everything is like beyond our reach. I mean, we are like I don't know. Maybe it's we have boycotting, for example. We have tried to amplify the voice of the Palestinians through our social media. We have, but it's still going on. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Maybe because the what we are flooded now in social media is maybe the worst part. Maybe there is other side of this what is happening now, which actually can be like giving us hope and something like that. But what you have presented before is, I thought that everything is beyond our reach. I mean, even we have the South Africa, for example, have tried the ICG, but still, until now, it's just, for me, it's just like a joke. I mean, even after the ceasefire yesterday, right after the ceasefire, and then the IOF just bombed Rafah. I mean, it's just, they are useless. I mean, the UN are useless. I thought, so what else can we do? I mean, it's the genocide is going on. I think that's all. Maybe it's not a question. It's just my deep feeling about this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ani, right? Okay. Madam Fatma, do you want to answer the questions directly? Okay, yeah, please.
Thank you for your question. About the humanitarian aids, it's some of them is enter Gaza these days, yes, by some of international organization. but it's not enough. It doesn't cover, enough people, because we talk about 2 million people, they needed help. And what does just enter in Gaza, it's very small compared the needs. And there's another issue that the Israeli side, the occupation, they made like a list of what it's allowed to enter Gaza or what doesn't allowed. For example, rice doesn't allow to enter Gaza. So there's many items, but there's some of humanitarian aids, they enter Gaza, but for south and south of Gaza. For north of Gaza, there is nothing enter. And regards to international organizations, actually most of the international organizations, they are closed in Gaza, but there's few numbers of organizations from international. For example, their M.Sc, Indonesia, they just enter Gaza, maybe I think 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, and they open small clinic to provide medical service for injured people. So there's some organization works in Gaza. But what works more now is volunteer people and volunteer groups, because also the local organizations in Gaza, most of them, they are destroyed or closed because of displacement. As I understand what we expect from the Indonesian community as a Palestinian and people of Gaza, actually first I will let you know, let we agree that people in Gaza now, they feel like they are alone because of the lack of support, especially from Arabic people and Arabic countries. So when they see the people from Indonesia came and enter Gaza, it's give them that they are not alone. So share story is very important for us at this time. If you just, all of you start to look at the stories comes from Gaza and share these stories, it will be very good, very, very useful for people. As well as now people, they need voices, for ceasefire. It's very important also. This is the main things now, or the very important things now for people. The first thing, ceasefire, and share the people's stories, because people, they want to know that the word, that their story reach all the world, even if it's not useful actually, because we share stories since 5 months ago and doesn't move, but they have this hope. As you heard about what happened in Ukraine, even our neighbor Egypt, our brother, Arabic brother, they opened their hotels for the Ukrainian people, and all the world, they are stand and talk about the Ukrainian human rights. But people in Gaza, no one talk about their humanitarian rights. And actually, I want to tell you something. I did hundreds of lectures about the international law in Gaza for journalists, for lawyers, for people. And now I believe this is big lie, because nothing implemented in Gaza. There is the law doesn't protect the journalist, doesn't protect the women, doesn't protect the children, the patient, the oldest. So these laws just make for another people, not for Palestinian people. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, Madam Fatma. Mr. Hadza, do you want to respond to Ms. Ani's statement? Yeah.
Just a brief response. I mean, okay, it seems that everything is out of reach for all of us, but Allah will consider whatever we have done together in this cause. whether it will reach the result or not. Yeah, so doing something is better than doing nothing. So this is something that we should remember. Maybe our research is fruitless and people would already read it, but we should know that it will be considered as form of good deeds in front of Allah. Yeah. So the worldly benefits might not be there, but at least we can make some people realize that this cause is important for us to be advanced, to be advocated. And so we should not lose hope, yeah, because this is something that actually Zionist regime like people to have. I mean, like they want people to become more hopeless because of this continuing war. They would like this conflict to become normalized so that people will be tired and accept the fate, but this is not something that we should accept. Yeah, we should always struggle, no matter how tiring, no matter how boring, no matter how fruitless it might be. We should know that the promise of Allah is real and will be granted in the future, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hadza, for the response. Since it's almost duhur time, and I think this is the last part of our seminar, and I am Rizki dan Nursita signing off from this session. And I also want to thank again to Madam Fatma Alghusain and also Mr. Hadza for your very insightful speech. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give applause for them. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'll give the floor back to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, give last round of applause for all the speakers and also the moderator for today. Okay, that's all for the international seminar, The Future of Palestine, The Future of Humanity, held by Madam Fatma Alghusain from Palestine. I would like to give 100 of gratitude for all the students and all of the audience who has attend this meeting and the seminar. So let's close our agenda today by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin and Kafaratul Majlis Subhanakallahumma bihamdika Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. We wish all the best and for the Palestine and for Madam Fatma for the foundation. We would like to announce you that whoever wants to donate, we are available. Madam Fatma are available to donate. Just please contact for the credit for the reckoning, yeah, for the purpose of the reckoning to us to the DPPAI, and we would like to send it to you. Okay, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you in the next agenda. For our students and all the audience, we would like to take picture together here. Please come forward. Yeah. Okay, please move forward.
She mon enfance, à mes 10 ans, à l'innocence. Au beau jardin, à mon pays, qu'appellent les enfants. Chez vous des mondes, tout cri de ronde, toute l'innocence de mon enfance, sauvez l'enfance.
Certificate. Don't forget to scan. Yeah, you can fill it later. Yeah.